Hi and welcome everyone. My name is Dominik and this is my podcast. Hugs, handshakes, Habibi. In this podcast I will speak about my life in the Middle East. I will tell you some fun stories I experienced here, and also I want to give you some hints what you need to see if you visit this amazing region. I hope that you enjoy listening as much as I enjoyed the recording, and yalla, let's start! Hi and welcome back everyone, this is Hugs, Handshakes, Habibi. I'm Dominik, I'm your host, and in today's episode I want to speak about Ramadan in Dubai, what expats should expect. So first of all, sorry for not recording an episode last week. I was on a business trip in Japan. I forgot my microphone here in Dubai. And with that, I don't want to record an episode without proper equipment and proper gear. And I have some thoughts about sound quality. And I don't want to upload something that is not aligned with those ideas. So for today's episode, I want to speak about Ramadan in the Middle East, Ramadan in Dubai, and how this is working out here and what visitors, tourists, business or transit can expect here. And important mark upfront, I'm not Muslim. I'm not qualified to speak about the details of the religion. I'm not qualified to speak about the details and certain in-deep things about the religion. So what I explain here is what I observe. What I explain here is what I learned in the 3 years. It's now my third Ramadan I experienced here in the region. So let me start with the significance of Ramadan in Islam. So Ramadan is the holiest month in Islam, and it's observed by Muslims worldwide. So I have colleagues in India, I have colleagues in the UK, I have colleagues in the US, and they also observing it. And the only thing is changing is the timing, because the Ramadan, the time for the fasting, is set by the sunset and by the dawn. So with that, the fasting time can move somewhere between 8 to 11 hours, depending on the time of the year and depending on the sunset and sunrise at the location where you are. And Ramadan is a time for fasting, for prayers, for reflection. And the reason why they have this is to commemorate the month which the first verses of the Holy Book of Quran were revealed to the Prophet Muhammad. And as I said, there is a fasting from dawn to sunset, and this is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, symbolizing the self-discipline, the spiritual purification and empathy for the less fortunate. I will speak about that a bit later. And beyond abstaining from food and drink, even water is not permitted. Only a few exceptions are made, and they need to be, then Ramadan should be observed at a later point in the year. Ramadan encouraged to acts of kindness, charity, increased devotion through prayers, to recitations of the Holy Book and Quran. And at the end of the Ramadan time, there is Eid al-Fitr, a joyous festival marking the end of the fasting. And this is something, the length of Ramadan itself is also marked by moon sightings. So the Ramadan starts with the moon sighting and it ends with the moon sighting. It's a full moon cycle, and therefore it's something between 29 and 30 days. We don't know exactly where we will have the holiday of Eid al-Fitr. So we will have a couple of bank holidays end of the month, but we don't know exactly when they will happen. Again, it's dependent on the moon sighting. So let me speak about the changes in daily life. So a lot of companies have adjustment of working hours. Depending on the company, it's done by hours, or it's done by shifting the required hours you should be in the office. There seems to be some flexibility, but there is less working hours, and I agree with that. So I work with some colleagues here, and they were fasting, and Yeah, after lunchtime, it's pretty tough. So they don't have water, they don't have a coffee, they don't have a snack, so it's really tough for them. And adjusting the working hours is a good idea there. Also, governmental authorities have adjusted working times, so usually they stop working somewhere at 2 or 3 p.m. And you need to check the schedule, the Ramadan schedule of those authorities before you go there for doing some business with the authorities. Before you go to visit for extending your driver license or whatever, you should take a look on that, because most of the times are adjusted. Beside that, in the malls, in the restaurants, meanwhile, there is, at least in Dubai, there is no adjustment made. The malls are open, the restaurants are open. You can also go for lunch into a restaurant. This is working here in Dubai. It's absolutely fine. In the other Emirates, it can happen that you have no chance to go there. I was in Sharjah 2 weeks ago, and for example, in Sharjah, most of the restaurants were closed during the day, and they just open with the sunset. So it depends a bit on the region, it depends a bit about the Emirates, so you should check before, but at least here in Dubai and most of the parts in Abu Dhabi, this is not a major issue, but you should check. So the most disturbing thing for me, even as a Christian, I was in the Grand Mosque of Abu Dhabi, and I had friends with me, and I told them in the car, hey, it's Ramadan, so have a sip from your bottles of water, remove chewing gums and everything. It's Ramadan, the people are not eating. And we went into the mosque and we saw that the fast food outlet in the entrance area had already opened, and it was, I think, an hour before the break of the fast. That was wondering me a bit. I expected that it's more strict, but meanwhile the life here opens up as well. And again, at least in Dubai, most parts of Abu Dhabi, there's no restrictions. Coming to other Emirates, it can happen, so check before. But hotels and everything is open. Also, you can meanwhile eat and drink in the public. I always recommend not doing that, and I try to stick to that as well. So I know from colleagues who are longer in the region that there were certain restaurants and they used shades to hide the people who are eating during the daytime in the malls. And meanwhile, this is all open. But I'm here as a guest in a country, and it's their culture, and it's hard for the people. So if I have business meetings here, and in the business meeting someone is there who is fasting, or if I'm in the office and there are colleagues who are fasting, I refrain from eating or drinking during the meeting. I try to stick to their fasting schedule as well, but I nearly end up in hospital, so I stop this kind of experiments here. But I go to my car to drink something. I have a bottle of water in my car, and if I need to drink something, I excuse myself, I go down into the parking garage, go into my car and have some water there. It's part of the culture. I try to be very respectful for that, because again, I'm guest here in the region, and I'm not walking with a cup of ice cream through my community. I don't walk with a bottle drinking water in public. I don't try to do that in the office as well. So I think it's a kind of common sense, and not everything you can do, you should do. Now coming to the most important part, it's Iftar and Suhoor. Iftar is the breaking of the fast, and this is a big event. So if you are in Ramadan here in the Middle East and you want to go for dinner into restaurants, check the time for the sunset and then allow the people an hour to eat, because this is the time where the restaurants are really, really busy, and the people were fasting for the complete day, and this is part of it's a gathering. It's a community, it's a social event. the breaking of the fast. So they start with the sunset. They start having a date and drink some water. Then they went for prayers, and then they come back and have their dinner. And so what I try here now in the last month, if I go out for eating, I try either to be an hour ahead of the Iftar timing or hour after the Iftar timing. Also with most of the mosques, you will see there is heavy traffic around those areas because there are Iftar tents where people gather for the breaking of the fast. And there's a lot of traffic around the mosque as well. So I try to skip those Iftar times. And then there is another gathering. It's a suhoor gathering, and it's late night dining. So this is the time where they then eat again. Also social event for the families, where the families come together, and then they have a late night dining, because that needs to be good and keep them through the day. And there are several ideas and how this meal should look like, that it brings you through the day. And then in the morning, so if you go, I arrived from Japan in the morning, and I arrived shortly before sunrise, and people were walking around and handing off water to the luggage guys, and handing out water to the security guys, so everyone can have a sip of water again before the sunrise and the fasting starts again. And these are the vibes I really love here in the city. And if you get an invite to an iftar from a friend, from a business partner, whatever, take it, go there. It's an amazing thing. It's like a celebration every day. I would highly recommend to do that. My first Ramadan season I did here, I was invited to a couple of iftars, and well, I didn't fast during the day, so I gained 4.5 kilos in that month of fasting. I learned my lessons, so I try then to eat less during the day if I know there is an iftar in the evening coming. But if you get invited, please do that. Go there. And if you find the iftar buffet or something, go there. It's a must visit. Let me speak shortly about the atmosphere in the city. So we have decorations around. There are some Ramadan markets, which is usually in the tourist area. We had last year one in Expo City, but this is gone this year. So there's only an Iftar area, but there is one in Festival City, I think, this year. And there are several special events for breaking of the fast, for in the communities, with the residents. Most of the communities do something. Again, we have the decoration, so most of the community entrance are decorated with enlightened half moons and Ramadan Kareem wording, and my neighbors also put out some Ramadan lighting. It's some kind of nice, and gives some nice atmosphere and vibes to the city. Also, there's a lot of charity and community spirit during Ramadan. So if you go during the Iftar time through the city, you will see people waiting at traffic lights and handing small paper boxes to delivery riders, to truck drivers, to bus drivers, to cab drivers, and also to regular people that are just on the street. And these are iftar boxes. These allow people who are working and who are not able to observe the iftar now because they're on duty. So the cab driver can't kick out the guest and just do his iftar. So for that reason, they get the boxes, and then they can break their fast in a good way, with dates, with water, and usually there's a shawarma or something in, and then they can do it while they were working. And I think that's a certain spirit that is here unique during Ramadan. So I think I covered most of that. Wait, I forgot Eid al-Fitr, the grand celebration at the end. So this is happening at the end of Ramadan. It's also a public holiday here. The airport will be crowded. So the airport is crowded once a week before Eid al-Fitr, because the school's closing for the last week of Ramadan. and then all the people are moving, and then we have Eid al-Fitr itself. So usually there's also crowded at the airport. A couple of people fly back home and have the celebration together with their families in their home countries. A lot of people go just for vacation because they maybe don't observe out of their religious the Ramadan and Eid al-Fitr, but they take the chance of having 3 to 5 days off for travel plans. But again, usually everything is open, the restaurants are open, but they will be a bit more crowded because people are celebrating and they go out for eating. And with that, the Ramadan is then finished, and then we go into the regular operations again. So the office hours return to usual, the opening hours for authorities went back to usual. But yeah, this is how Ramadan look like. So if you are here in the region, you know what you can expect. And we here next week. Till then, stay safe.